So just to introduce our gorgeous Sophie Seddon, Managing Director of Novus Solutions. She's just going to talk about a journey today, aren't you, Sophie? And we're all really excited. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hand it over to you now, Sophie. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks so much for inviting me. Honestly, it feels like such an honour to be here amongst all these gorgeous and wonderful women. And maybe there's some guys here too, I think. So what I thought I would do with you guys today is literally just talk through my story and how I got from starting my career in fashion to becoming a director of a construction company, which just seems a bit bonkers. And then I actually took some time earlier this week to think about some lessons that I've learned along the way, which was really quite therapeutic and quite interesting. So I thought I'd talk through some of the lessons that I've learned, and hopefully that might speak to some of you. And then hopefully we'll have some time at the end for you to ask me any questions if you want to. So yeah, so I left school with a bunch of A-levels and wanted to do fashion. It's what I've always wanted to do when I was a kid. I absolutely love dressing up and I'm such a girly girl. So fashion was sort of my career that I wanted to go into. So I went to Manchester and studied fashion. When I was there, one of the modules that I studied was marketing, and I just absolutely loved it and thought, actually, marketing speaks more to me. So that I left university with marketing in mind as a career sort of path that I wanted to go down. And the thing that I loved the most about marketing was really the people aspect, the psychological aspect to marketing, why someone would necessarily buy one brand and not another, and I just found that so fascinating. So that's what I knew that I wanted to do. So when I left uni and knew that I wanted to go down the marketing route, my dad, who was running a construction company at the time, which happened to be within my family business which has now been in my family business for 130 years. So it was my great-great-grandfather who set up the business back in 1897. And he was in North Manchester in a little town called Little Hulton in Bolton. Some of you might know it. And him and his brother were orphaned at a very young age, and they were brickies in the mines. And there was a point in time where he decided, I don't want this for me or my brother anymore. I want a better life for ourselves. So he got a wheelbarrow and a set of tools and started pointing chimneys around North Manchester. And then if we fast forward to when my dad was running the organisation, we were a £200 million business, employing over 1,000 people. So we've grown quite significantly over that time. But what was really quite special is that it remained within our family. Now, I say that because when my dad approached me and said, Soph, if you're going to do marketing, I want you to come and do it for us, because we have never had a marketing department. Imagine that. They've been running for over 100 years and they've never done any marketing, which is pretty impressive, actually. But he said, I want you to come and join the team. We're recruiting all of these people, and it'd be great for you. And you'll start at the bottom and you'll learn everything that you need to know. And I'm not going to lie, my initial reaction was, you can absolutely do one. There's no way I'm working for construction. It just sounds gross. I don't want to work with you either. I'm not interested at all. Anyway, 6 months later and a lot of persuasion, I ended up signing on the dotted line, and I have never looked back since. I can't tell you how much I am so appreciative of taking that step and making that that first step into my career being within construction, because it is just the most fantastic sector, which I'll go on to a little bit later. But so I literally started right at the bottom of the pile as marketing assistant in a brand new marketing department in the business that my dad was running at the time. Now, we went through quite a few different structures and restructures within sort of the time that I've been part of the business. And so we've merged organizations together, we've dissolved groups, we've had to reignite ourselves many, many times. And what I have done throughout that time is just make sure that I am right in the middle of the storm and sort of taking control of the elements that I can. And I really, really found such joy and passion in creating a brand that was well known, and really linking the core values of our business into everything that we do. And I started to learn that actually marketing wasn't this function that sits outside or just, as part of. It's absolutely integral in bringing it all together, the whole organization together. And I often describe it as it's the missing piece of a jigsaw puzzle. It's like the last bit that you put into a jigsaw puzzle, and that for you to get the whole picture of the business. And it's just so important. So I learned so much across all of the different experiences, but I work with some really fantastic people as well. Every kind of trade you can think of. We built every type of building you can imagine. We now concentrate on maintenance and refurbishment. So the majority of our business comes from social housing, where we refurb and maintain social housing properties. However, our biggest client is actually Whitbread, so we refurbish all the Premier Inns up and down the country. So we have to be really versatile. Our customer service has to be absolutely second to none. The quality has to be up there. And the one thing that I've learned about construction is it's damn hard to differentiate in this sector, because we all sort of do the same thing and do it sort of in the same way. So really finding unique opportunities to differentiate is something that I absolutely buzz off as well. So really finding those little gaps in the marketplace and then making sure that we're doing exactly what it is that we need to do to make sure we fit into that little niche of being different. So that was sort of my journey. And then fast forward to now, and I have been responsible for pretty much every function in the business apart from operations, which I wouldn't want to go anywhere near. You wouldn't want me near the operational side of the business. We've got some very, very capable individuals who do that. But my God, have I made sure that I understand operations, because I want to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk when I am in meetings. And how I sort of went about making sure that I was progressing in my career and taking advantage of opportunities that were coming my way is I just found the elements of the business that weren't working too well, and then just took it upon myself to collaborate with people, work really well and in a really supportive and kind way, where we made those problems, we gave those problems solutions and really improved the business. And once I started doing that and gaining a little bit of confidence about it, because it really started where I would just notice things and think, why the hell are we doing it like that? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. Or what's stopping us from doing something this way? Or why are we not making money over here? Or just generally sort of just being quite inquisitive and not really understanding how we do things. And even when it was explained to me, still not really getting it. So I would just sort of go in and go, is there not a better way of doing it? Can we not do it like this? Or what are your thoughts about doing it in this way? Or have you got any opinions on this frustrating element, and can we improve? And just finding that collaboration and sort of allies in the business to work with to improve really gave me a bit of a pedestal to stand on, to be noticed. And that is how I progressed in my career. Now, one of the challenges I have to say it's a huge privilege being part of my family business. You know, we're a very successful business who've been here for a very long time, and my forefathers have been incredibly successful, and they are just filled with entrepreneurial spirit and creativity and just energy. And I really take inspiration from that. So it's a huge privilege, but my God, can it be a challenge as well? So I have always dealt with, from the moment that I joined the business, even really still today, with that little person on my shoulder going, you're not actually that good though, are you? Or you're only really here because of your surname and the blood that's running through your veins. It's not really because you're that good at what you do. So I do have that I have to battle with. But what I've really, really tried to hone in on is seeing it as more of a positive than a negative. So it's absolutely driven me to prove people wrong. I love it when people underestimate me, and I just like go in there and just slap them in the face with a great piece of research or some knowledge that I've got that I've gained somewhere else. I just absolutely love doing that. So it's sort of empowered me. And I think people would maybe call that imposter syndrome. But I actually have found it really beneficial in my career to really sort of springboard me and take me and drive me when I've been in really, really challenging and difficult situations. So so I've pretty much been responsible for everything, and it's been absolutely fantastic, the most amazing journey. And what I'm responsible for now, which is just so cool, is so we've been going for 130 years. I am making damn sure that we last for another 130 years and beyond. So it's my job now to make sure that whatever we're doing today ensures that we're still here in the future. So it just means that I can float around the business really quite freely, get involved in all sorts of things, and using those skills that I've gained over the course of my career, where I'm challenging, I'm supporting, I'm collaborating, and use those sort of creative thinking that comes quite naturally to me to really prod and poke and make sure that we are still relevant and and essentially future proofing. So I guess that's sort of my my little journey in a nutshell, and it's been it's been fantastic, but it's also been bloody hard work. And don't get me wrong, there's been times when I've just been exhausted, and being that minority in rooms constantly does take its toll, and it is really, really difficult to be brave enough to stand out when you already stand out. But I wouldn't change anything for the world. The other thing that I think is really worth saying is some of my drivers that have kept me going during those really difficult times. And I have two daughters, and one day they will become shareholders of this business. Now, I am doing everything I can to make sure that the day that they come into this business and become a shareholder, they are able to look around the business and find people that look like them, sound like them, and they are accepted for who they are. So we still got a hell of a long way to go. But that's what really drives me and keeps me going. So I guess that's me. So what I'll do now is I'll move on to my lessons that I've learned along the way, and I've got a little list here, so I'll read through them. I've actually got 15 lessons, so I hope you don't all start falling asleep or switching off. But I've learned a lot sort of during my time. So the first one is never ever apologize for who you are. I am a very girly girl. I love dressing up and I love putting on my red lippy. I love my nails and all that jazz. And I have been told, I can't tell you how many times I have been told to tone it down, or I've had the piss taken out of me for the types of clothes that I wear. I constantly get reminded that we don't, the office isn't a catwalk. It's an office, or my heels are too high, or whatever, it's all too much. So all I did was make sure I put higher heels on, made sure the lippy was brighter, and my outfits did the talking, and I didn't have to. And I still do that now. So no matter what your thing is and who you truly are, never ever apologize for that, because that's what makes you different and that's what makes you great. My second lesson is, do not try and separate your personal and your professional life. It's just flipping pointless. They are so intertwined, whether you like it or not. Lean into your feminine. It's an absolute superpower. We work in a man's world, but it's what makes us different. And it's what makes us stand out. So put it to damn good use. All those feminine qualities that you've got, lean into them and use them, utilize them in your everyday. So I saw something the other day, which I just thought was absolutely brilliant. And I completely agree with it, which is, stop trying to be liked all the time. You're not tequila. We are not tequila. There's no point us trying to be liked all of the time. It's just exhausting. Every single person is not going to like you. So don't even bother trying. If I don't believe in me, nobody will. That's a very easy thing to say, and it takes some hard work to get there, to truly believe in yourself. But just listen, nobody else is going to, so you really, really have to. And again, if I don't trust me, why would anybody else? Fake the confidence. No one will know that you're actually shitting yourself if you can fake it. Start with your posture, your body language, and just have a great big smile on your face. It's a really, really good way to just start. So even if you're not there quite yet, just bloody fake it. Keep pushing outside of your comfort zone, because before you know it, that zone just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you find yourself in comfier places as that zone gets wider. But don't stop pushing. Keep pushing those boundaries. Your health comes first, nothing else. I've learned some very valuable lessons in my time. Your health is non-negotiable. And do not let anybody tell you any different. You have to put your health as a priority, because if you haven't got that, there's nothing else. Be vulnerable. It builds trust. It never, ever breaks it. Be brave and take chances. They will always turn out into a positive, even if it's a failure. Being kind is underrated. None of this cruel to be kind nonsense. Be kind to be kind. Guys and girls, you are an island. You're in charge of who is allowed on your island and who is extradited. Invite people on who will serve you and your purpose, and get rid of those who don't. Remember, you're not tequila. You are more powerful than you know. I mean, right, bear with me here. I'm a massive Beyonce fan, so I had to get some of her lyrics in here. So, in the words of Beyonce, we are smart enough to make those millions, strong enough to bear the children, and then get back to business. Who else can do that? Come on. We are so powerful. And finally, my 15th lesson that I have learned is self-confidence. I actually Googled out of interest how to build self-confidence, and what a load of bollocks came up. I honestly couldn't believe it. It was all about positive affirmations and practice self-care and surround yourself with positive, loving people. And I just thought, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. But how I grew my own self-confidence is I actually asked other people. So I asked people what they thought of me. I asked people, what do you think I am good at? What is it like working with me? And what can I do better? Now, when you ask people these types of questions to their face, they haven't really got the balls to say anything nasty to you. So generally, they'll say really lovely things to you, which just builds that confidence within yourself. Now, don't just ask your colleagues, your boss, your team. Ask people who really, really know you and you really trust. Ask your family, ask your friends, and get them to tell you what's really great about you, because I'm pretty sure you'll listen to them. I know I listen to them more than I listen to myself, and I trust them a little bit more than I trust myself as well. So generally, if they tell me that I'm doing something well, I'll believe them. And the other thing about self-confidence is I've learned that confidence breeds confidence. So if you tell other people how amazing they are, or if you identify something that's really, really great or really cool, let that person know, because it breeds. And if you can inject some confidence into somebody else, it only ricochets and comes back to you. So that's my 15 lessons. I've actually sped through all of that, so apologies, guys. But I guess maybe it leaves us a little bit of time if anyone has any questions that they want to ask me.
So I think Michaela's trying to speak, but
Oh.
sorry, Michaela, we
Can you hear me?
you? Oh, yes, we can now. Yeah,
I'm on to, I'm so sorry for being late, Sophie, and thank you so much. That was inspiring and super fun as well. I'm on 2 different things, so one that you can see me on and one that apparently you can hear me on. And one of them mornings, honestly, it's just been horrendous. Anyway, yeah, that was really great, Sophie. I absolutely love the lessons. Do you know what I will say though about the confidence thing? I think you have to have confidence to ask that question. I actually wouldn't be able to say to somebody, what am I good at? Just through fear that they're going to be like, mate, you're absolutely just shit. And I know you're saying you won't, but imagine if you did, I'd be like, so how do you
Well, my experience, Michaela, is when I have asked people that to their face, they just don't tell you like anything really, really awful. You can start off, because I completely get where you're coming from. It is quite like, ooh, to go, what am I good at? What you could do is you could have worked on a project and gone, what was good? What do you think went well on that project? Or what do you think we could have done a bit better about, or what should we do again, and sort of remove the personal from it, but then try and weave in there, was there anything that I did that contributed to that, or is there anything that maybe I could have done a bit better? And so maybe start that way. The other thing you can do is, I'm pretty sure you could ask your other half, go on, tell us what do you think I'm all right at?
You might brutal though. Imagine that brutal honesty. Oh, you just did something really terrible, like, yeah, you can make a really good salmon. Do you know? That ain't salmon. There must be something else. How far do you fish with it? I think whilst I think it's a really great idea to do that, and definitely would help. It's all, I think you're going to need to be confident to actually come out with that. But in fact, you know, like, we should just set that as a little task actually. And everybody's like, oh, for fuck's sake. But maybe if everybody who's in here today, if they just do that with just one person, and then obviously we're all in the hub. Nicolette will put the recording of this on afterwards, so we can create a thread below that. And if you always tell us just one good thing that somebody said, and then I guess we're all accountable as well, because we see you. I know exactly who's in here, so I'll be expecting everybody to put something on saying X said Y about me, and see if we can get a little confidence group going in the thread.
Love that idea.
That means we'll have to ask somebody though. I'm going to ask my dad. My dad will say something.
There you go. sad.
The rest of my family's brutal. They'll be like nothing, man. Does anybody else have any questions for Sophie? I know it's a lot of you. I think it's your first time in it as well. So welcome to the madhouse when I'm around, because I run it. But please do, like, get involved, say something. If you can't really speak, then there's a chat section somewhere there, and we'll read them out for you. But does anybody, Belinda? I feel like you have a question.
No, she's answered all my questions because I gave them to her pre the meeting. So no, thank you so much, Sophie, because I have been struggling with my self-confidence. Like, I am so confident, but then it's like myself then I'm like, "Gee, Linda, who the fuck do you think you are?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just I struggle, and it's funny that you say, like, to go and ask people, because, like, I don't care what anyone says about me. The amount of things that people say about me, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, okay. You know, when I go off and it's like, how do I believe what other people are saying? You know what I mean? Because people don't say negative things about me. They do. But you know, it's not really a situation that I come into, like, when I'm at work and things like that, because I've always held myself. I've always been one of the boys. You know, I've been in construction since young, or gone out to Australia. It's exactly what I was doing, you know. So I kind of always are working behind the bar. I've gained that confidence, say, working with intoxicated people, and you know, so I know how to deal. Like, I love people, but I also know how to deal with people who are aggressive or arrogant and things like that. So I don't let anything kind of get in. I don't let the negativity get in, and I don't let the positivity get in. But it doesn't change my own mindset, if that makes sense.
Can I ask you a question though? I know
Yeah.
you said that you don't allow the negativity to get in, but if someone told you that you were really terrible at something, would you believe them?
No, probably not.
See, I had that.
Depends who says it, I suppose. You know, like, do I look at that person as in someone I'm looking up to, someone I'm inspired by, and they come and say, Jesus, you're shit at that. I'd be like, oh my God, okay. Well, how do I get better? You know, that would be my initial question or thinking. But in general, I don't believe, like, I've grown up in a small town where everybody knows who I am or thinks they know who I am. And it's, you know, I've kind of always had that barrier, whereas I don't care what anyone says about me. Like, somebody's opinion isn't fact, if that makes sense. But for me, it's all like the inner negativity that how do I see in me what everyone else sees in me, if that makes sense.
I think you need to find someone that you really trust and look up to.
Okay.
Because I think when you're inspired by someone and you really look up to them, but you trust what they're saying to you, eventually you will start listening to them if they're telling you that you are good at something. You do just need to find those. It goes back to the island thing. Get the people on your island who sort of breed that positivity and, you know, are good for you and your purpose. There are times though when I've massively benefited from people telling me that I'm shit at something.
Yeah, because you want to go and prove them wrong.
Because I want to prove them wrong, but also they're probably right, because I'm not going to be good at everything, and there are things that I do need to get better at. So having that is just as important as having people like building you up and telling you how amazing you are. And yeah, I think the other thing as well is what I've definitely been guilty of is just constantly moving on to the next thing. So I've done that, move on. And it's not actually, I very rarely have taken moments where I've just stopped and actually looked at what I've done. And then I've gone, all right, that is actually pretty cool. And if that was someone else, then I'd be like pretty impressed with that. That's all right. That.
Yeah, I think I need to take.
Quite say I'm amazing. You could say that was all right. Like, that was actually pretty cool. But it's not even just the big things. It's like the little things as well. So I don't know if you were able to like shut someone down in a meeting where they were just being really disrespectful, or I don't know, just something small, and you go, oh yeah, I actually can do that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I have had those moments. I think I need to just really stop and take a minute. And I love the wins of the week, and I've been trying to keep up with them. I've been drafting them in my head more than anything else. But you know, even if it's the smallest thing, I am really going to try and keep up with that, because, you know, with that accountability, I need to probably read it somewhere. But, you know, with social media, the anxiety kicks in. But I've started doing the videos now, and it's great because I don't get anxious about how I'm coming across. I'd be like, Grant, everyone heard that now, everyone picked up the tone, everyone, you know, so I've actually changed that way. But like, that was a huge, like, I've never even done that on my like personal Instagram. I don't even post on my personal Instagram, and it's not like, I do it on the story because I know that it's gone in 24 hours. Whereas on the page, it's not that I feel anyone else can come and criticize it. It's that it's there for me to go back and like, Linda, what were you talking about? Ooh, cringe. Look at that emoji you put. Your career's over. You know, it's like the smallest, most irrelevant BS that I get anxious about. So I suppose, yeah, I need to probably, as you say, I go and thinking of all these other things. I should probably take a minute, and I'll use the weekly updates now to kind of just stop for a sec and you know, tell myself I have those wins, no matter how small.
I think when I said as well, like, you have to believe in yourself, because if you rely on others to do it for you as well, it's, you know, there's two sides to this. It is great hearing it from other people, but you have to believe it for yourself. And actually, why don't you just try it? Just try it for a day. Just do it for a day. See what happens. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen, right, is you become an arrogant dick.
Turn out like me out, lad. No, I've made loads of notes. Thank you so much. I'm going to try, because at the end of the day, like, where I see myself now, I'm buzzing, because I'm like, geez, Linda, like, you've been this is what you said you wanted to do. You're in the thick of it now. You're doing it, you know. So it's that's what I think I need to realize as well. It's not that I'm qualified to do it all. I have all this international experience. Like, no, you're doing exactly what you envisioned. So I suppose that's probably what's actually keeping me going. It's like, no, you're actually doing it now. Even if I'm not doing it so well, I'm still doing it.
You're still doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
thanks,
amazing.
Belinda. And also, may I add, like, nobody does it well at the start.
Yeah.
And to be honest, not many people do it well towards the end as well. So everybody's just winging it, and just as Sophie said, just faking it. And just some people can fake it a bit more.
My instant reaction is like, I'm on an emotional roller coaster ride, winging it on the daily.
Welcome to life. Welcome to adulthood. That should be the motto. Wing it daily.
Yeah.
Thanks, Belinda. Does anybody else have any questions or anything do you want to just add, say? This is a quiet week. Where's Catherine when we need her?
I'll chip in instead. All I can say is, after leaving a job that I've been at for quite a while and sort of going out on my own and sort of taking some space, I can totally understand how you start to underestimate what you can do. You start to believe that maybe you're not as good as you think you are. So it's people, I'll be honest, Michaela gave me a big, massive pick up the arse to say, actually, what do? When you start telling somebody what you can and what you can't do, you realise the experience and your skill set, and you kind of think that's your day-to-day thing, and you think that's easy to do for you. But when you start doing it on a day-to-day basis, you just think it's easy, and you don't realise actually it's quite difficult for other people to do. So you are good at what you do, and it's just telling somebody sometimes what you do that you think, oh my God, I'm really good at that. I know what I'm doing. So it's just sort of finding your confidence and making sure you can get back out there and do what you need to do. But yeah, it was a big, massive help last weekend. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and getting some more business in, really. But yeah, I loved all your 15 points. I've written a few down to keep myself on track. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Claire. And so Claire was on the hike with me at the weekend from when we was literally dragged up a mountain by Catherine. It was just the most vile experience of my life. Honestly, it was completely missold what we was going to. I was like Aperol spritz on a mountain somewhere, talking about construction. This is going to be so much fun. And 5 hours deep, I was like, what the fuck? to my life and why I'm at the top of this mountain. But we had a really good chat as well. We're going to arrange another one as well for the whole, but something easier, unbelievably. We're going to do Snowdon, and apparently it's just like miles easier than what we experienced. But to close point, what we was talking about was I was like, yeah, but what do you do? And I think obviously I'm a marketing background. And I think we should all just think about this in our lives, like market yourself, but really understand, you know, like your own tagline. So what is it that you do? If somebody now asks me what I do, I'm just like women in construction, because it's just far too broad to try and niche. So it depends who I speak to as to what I'm going to tell them exactly what I do. But I think having that understanding as well will, just as Claire said, will help with your confidence, understanding what you do. So to me, like doing marketing campaigns or anything about advertising, anything about networking, all these things, sometimes about being a mum, all these things is just second nature. It's so simple to me. But then when you speak to somebody else about it and you blitz through it and you're like, oh yeah, just look at this, like this is how you run a business, this is how you file your accounts. It all seems so easy to you because it's the daily, but actually you're talking to somebody else and you're basically talking French. So I think really understanding what you do and marketing yourself as well, understanding how you're going to communicate that to people. I think you'll get confidence in that. Do you know, and I mean, a lot of you are new actually, so you might not have heard this before, but every year what I do without fail as well, and I've done it for donkey's years, as long as I can remember, always around the new year because it's good time. I always write down my goals for the next 12 months. It will always involve losing a stone, which I never achieve, and it will always involve, you know, oh, this is how I'm going to expand the business, so I want to take on X amount of staff, I want to do X amount of turnover, I want to invest in whatever it is, all the different things professionally and personally as well. And every year I'll reflect back on, I mean, I look at it monthly, but every year I reflect back on, all right, so what did we achieve? And honestly, it's the most therapeutic thing. During the pandemic, it was an absolute shit show, to be honest, my businesses. Everything just went tits up, and just like everybody, we really struggled. And I was really quite, not depressed, but definitely sad about how things had gone, specifically business-wise. And then I looked back at what I'd set, the goals I set myself, and I compared to what we've done. I was like, oh, so we didn't take on 5 members of staff, but actually we kept everybody in a job, and we didn't manage to do this, but actually we did manage to do that. And having that comparison and being like, well, you know, I couldn't stop Boris Johnson from locking us all down. I couldn't prevent this pandemic. So what we've achieved at the end of it by still functioning, there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said for that. So I think it's really important setting goals and keeping your eye on those goals and acknowledging what you've achieved and how far you've come. Just as you were saying, Sophie, life is fast. There's just so many elements and so many things going on all the time that you never really reflect and give yourself that pat on the back of, you know, oh, I did get the degree, I did get the promotion, oh, I did do this, you know, my kids are still alive. Like, oh, you never really say well done to yourself for these things. So I think it's really important to goal set and flex and and not acknowledge what you've achieved as well. And
I think what's important as well, Michaela, is when you are setting those goals is they don't have to be life-changing either. I think sometimes we get really bogged down in making sure that some all of our goals are like these huge, great big earth-shattering things. And actually sometimes it's a flipping miracle that I've made it through the day. And just be like having the key thing is having those moments, isn't it, where you go, actually, I am going to be brave enough now just to give myself a little pat on the back, because that was really fucking hard that day and I just got through it and that was enough. So I think goal set, absolutely 100% agree with that. And I am a very goal orientated person anyway, and I will literally kill myself to achieve a goal. So but I think what I can be guilty of is trying to achieve these like massive, like earth-shattering goals, when actually sometimes it's as little as let's make it through this week without, you know, poisoning the children and, you know, getting dressed because
Exactly.
it's really hard.
Do you know that just realistic expectations and things that happen in life that are unexpected and how things are going to change? I think you have to have these goals because you know we want to progress in our careers and our personal lives, and it's really good to have something written down to aim to achieve. But life throws you curveballs. Earlier on this year, my son's dad died, and so I found myself like, I guess I was always a single mom anyway, but completely single, and just literally going into the office, and Nicola can testify to this, just going into the office and not crying my eyes out, getting home from work and being like, oh, like, I am, you know, Harrison's all right, I'm all right, nobody saw me crying today, like, well done me, what's next on the agenda? And then, you know, sometimes I didn't manage to do that, but I think we have to look at what everybody's lives are different, and we just throw so much stuff on a daily basis, and that we can't change. So I think, you know, we want to expand, we want to do all of these things, but we have priorities. And I think sometimes just being able to say, I got up and I got dressed this morning, I turned up to this meeting, I spoke today, like, you know, Belinda's not been here before, she's never spoken to us all. That's an achievement. If you when Claire first come in, she'll tell you, she was like, I really don't want to speak, and now she's like jumping in, you know, we love to see it. I think just these small little things we have to acknowledge actually can be humongous things for other people. Sophie, you do loads of public speaking, you're a great speaker, and so again, this will be second nature to you. But there'll be so many people on this call today who are like, oh, absolutely not. I'll write it in the chat, I'll pretend I'm busy, I'm not done my hair, I won't put the camera on. So I think just, you know, next month when you all turn up, put your cameras on, add something, you know, and just these little steps, and then thinking like, well done to yourself, like, no, I didn't take on 40 members of staff and lose a stone, but I spoke in public and I didn't.
It's that comfort zone thing, isn't it? Like, if you keep pushing out your comfort zone, it's just so awful at the time, but you do afterwards go, oh my God, I actually did that. And then before, I think the other thing as well is before you know it, what felt uncomfortable starts to feel comfy. And that's when you go, all right. I've probably achieved something there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it can get bigger and bigger. The boundaries get further away, just as you were saying, and I loved that actually. I think it's really, really important. And again, that will really help with self-confidence, pushing those boundaries, doing more and more. But again, we have to reflect and acknowledge that as well. Like, Christ, you know, I didn't leave my house at one point for like 6 months because I had the worst social anxiety, and then I found myself on national TV getting fired in front of 9 million people. I'm like, what on earth has happened in these last 7 years, where I was too scared to go to Asda's, and now I'm sat in Lord Sugar's boardroom. And I think and I mean, I still actually don't know what happened there, but it's just small little steps that really help you develop as a person. I think it was super inspiring, Sophie, listening to you and listening to your journey, and you know, the misconceptions that you'll still receive, that's going to be what our awards are about this year, the misconceptions of the industry, but about us personally. So we ask everybody who's attending, and I give some prizes to normally the most ridiculous ones, funniest ones. But I think, you know, you would look at you and think, oh, like that, you know, you're from a privileged background, you know, it's a privilege that you've been able to control a business with 130 years history, but then understanding the layers that still come with that, the problems that still come with that as well. You know, it may not be a startup, but you're still going to get the imposter syndrome, the negativity, the judgment, and you still have to prove yourself, no matter, I guess, how privileged you've been as well, and potentially even more so.
Yeah. And can you imagine if it was me who fucked up? Like,
after 130 years.
Been in the family for 130 years. It can't be me who fucks it up.
That's an incredible amount of pressure, though.
Yeah, that is pressure. It's
the
pressure.
legacy died with Sophie. On the tombstone, hell, actual hell.
Yeah.
That would just be a nightmare. So sorry if I just taking over everybody, but nobody was really saying anything. So does anybody want to add anything? Do the thing, say something, put your camera on. Sarah,
can I just, hiya, I was just going to say, because I run a company, and I feel really grown up now running a company, but there's some days when you just think, just getting out of bed, making the bed, cleaning your teeth, and then gradually it's almost, you don't think you can do it, but just one foot in step of the other, and then that gradually builds the motivation, and the day just evolves, and you get to the end of the day and you just think, look at what I've done. But it was just giving myself a break and just thinking, right, let's just do the simple tasks, and then you gradually get into the swing of it. But it sometimes it's really hard, but it gets better and better.
Yeah,
But also the other thing I would say is, both for me and Bruce, we run the company together, how it's 11 years now, and how resilient we've become now, and how quickly we can bounce back when things happen. They used to knock us for 6. We used to sort of take 3 or 4 days and we'd both be really down about it. But now we just think, right, okay, we know we can cope with this. How do we get over it? And how do we get on? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important, Sarah, as well. You know, it's experience breeds confidence as well. Just because if you've got the experience of, oh, I didn't die doing that, then I'll go on and try it again or whatever else. And I think what's just so important is people like you, Sarah, and Sophie, where you are sitting at the top of businesses, or you are inspiring. People are looking at you for inspiration. But I mean, it's true, people are looking at you for inspiration. So to just be normal, to just say, oh, actually, yeah, I just brushed my teeth, and then the day went on. Or, Sophie saying the boundaries have to get bigger, but we all have to start somewhere. It's so important, to be honest, and none of this like flaky bullshit of, oh, do you know what? I just woke up fabulous. I don't go to the gym. And business is easy, and we're all amazing, and I'm going to post it on Instagram so people feel really shit about themselves. I think it's just so important to be honest. So about how are you going to inspire anyone if you're just seen as this goddess that's unachievable? We have to put our real lives out.
Michaela, I just think that is so important. It's one of the reasons why I put be vulnerable, because it builds trust. It doesn't break it. And it's so true that if you are really honest about you going through a tough time or things aren't actually that great at the moment, one of the things that really saved us during COVID was that honesty. So I'd film these weekly updates, and I'd send them out to every single member of our staff. Whether they were furloughed or not, they would receive this video from me, and it would be a really honest update. And it would be really from the heart. So I'd be like, I'm really struggled this week. It's been really difficult. We've done this, we've done that. We're focusing on this for next week. But, it's that. And that built so much trust in the organization. I can't tell you. And we're still riding that wave now. So we've had some challenges at the back end of coming out of COVID and the last year or so. But building that trust in a time when things weren't great has really, it's just paid dividend, because people trust you now. So when you're telling them it's going to be okay, they believe you because you've told them when it's not. And you've been really vulnerable yourself. So, I would get on camera and go, do you know what? I've had a really, really tough day today. It's been really difficult. I'm really struggling being in the house all the time. My mental health, I feel really depressed at the minute. Is anybody else out there? Has anyone got any tips for me? And just having that vulnerability was, it was flipping scary, because I'm sending that out to literally 1,000 people. But my God, was it one of the best things that I ever did.
Yeah, do you know what, Sophie? I think it's just so important, and it is more of a feminine trait. And again, doubling down on these qualities, whereas men have got the ego and they've got to and generalizing, but we've got to pretend everything's fine, and everybody's got to believe in us. So again, leaning into these feminine qualities is really important, especially in this industry. It's going to change things, but it's just so important to give people permission to feel. So I mean, I've always been this way anyway, but more so experiencing life with my son now. And, he's a young boy, he's only 14 years old. So giving him the permission to be able to feel sad or angry, I will lead with, even when it's not true. I've been really mad today because of this. And then he will tell me, oh, I've been mad as well. And I think just giving people the permission, and opening the door of, well, I'm your mom, or I'm the business owner and I felt like this. have you ever felt like this? So many people would not come forward with that. I think it's really important for us to be able to give people permission and the space, no matter who it is in your life, the space to be able to open up. And the easiest way to do that is not saying, how are you? How have you been? But it's by leading by example. So the reason that I talk about what is happening in our lives right now and what we've gone through is because I do believe that you have to lead from the front. You know, you have to, if I tell people, you know, you should be this way, then I absolutely have to be that way. The easiest way is storytelling, opening up, and then allowing other people to say, well, I've struggled with X, Y, and Z. And you just find yourself so many new friends as well. I think it's, you know, a really nice way to bond with one another as well, just being open and honest. You find so many people being open and honest in return as well. It's also a northern trait, so sorry for all the southerners in here, but northerners are just so much more honest. I honestly, if I meet a northerner, I will know the life story within 2 hours. The southerners are really like, oh no, everything's fine, oh, stiff over lips. So comes to the north as well. I think.
Can I just say something, Michaela? It's just so funny because I was messaging Sophie before and saying I'm just in the background, you know, I'll be taking notes and listening, and then 2 minutes just before it went live, Michaela messaged me saying, "Can you introduce the meeting?" And I'm like, so I just to let you all know, I've come out of my comfort zone today and introduced the meeting. It was, and then Sophie started talking about confidence. No, that's what I think I've done today. Yay! Not again, though, Michaela. That's it. Just the once.
No, it is though. I know that's a big thing for Nikki. Actually, my friend had popped around and ended up having a bit of a meltdown. So that's why I was like live again. Just took over, and so I thought I've got to text Nikki because I'm not going to get on. I thought I know she's going to hate me for throwing her under the bus. But yeah, you've done it, so that's it now, Nikki. You can do this weekly now, or monthly now. Right, okay, so Sophie, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It was really inspiring and thought-provoking as well. And I think what we'll do is we put the recording online as well. But Sophie, can you send your lessons over to us, and we'll do some posts around that and put it in the hub and on our social media. And for everybody else, we do this normally the second Thursday of every month. It's the third this month because of UK Construction Week. We have an event next week if anybody's around London, at the Green in Clerkenwell. It's just like networking drinks, panel discussion around women in construction, and that's 1 till 4, and that's all in the hub. And the awards, the nominations are closing next Friday. So again, the confidence things, please, for the love of God, put yourselves forward for an award, or somebody who you know, or ask somebody to put you forward, or use a different email address, but still put yourself forward, pretending it's somebody else. I see those as well. And like, however you want to do it, and like, put yourself forward for an award, because once it's closed, it's closed. It's such an amazing event to be part of. Or come and, you know, just enjoy the evening. It is probably the only event that we do each year where you have to pay for the tickets. But that's because I'm unfortunately not a fucking millionaire. So it'll all be in the hub. So check it out, get involved. But we've got 1 week left, so please do get involved. And yes, Sophie, thank you so much, Emma. So that was good fun.
Thank you, everyone.